Commander Jack Miller stood tall at the helm of the U.S. Horizon as it approached the massive structure known as Proxima Station. His hands fidgeted slightly behind his back, betraying the nervousness he tried to hide from his crew. This was humanity's first official visit to the Galactic Council, and the weight of representing Earth pressed heavily on his shoulders. "Final approach in 3 minutes, Commander," said the pilot, Officer Frank Carson. Jack nodded. "All personnel to diplomatic stations. Remember what we discussed. Stay calm, stay professional, no matter what we encounter." Lisa Bennett, the mission's lead scientist, appeared beside him. Her short blonde hair was neatly combed, and her blue uniform crisp as always. "Intel suggests some species might find our appearance unsettling," she said quietly, "and others might not take us seriously." "Let them think what they want," Jack replied. "We're here to establish Earth's place among the stars, not win a beauty contest." The Horizon docked with a slight bump. Not as smooth as Jack had hoped, but space docking was still relatively new for humans. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 15 years ago, while some council species had been traversing the stars for thousands of years. As the airlock hissed open, Jack led his team of 6 representatives into Proxima Station. The reception area was filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Some floated in the air, others slithered across the floor, and a few appeared as merely shifting patterns of light. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms stepped forward. "Welcome, Earth delegation. I am Council Speaker Zel Thorax of the Vexari. We have been observing your species for some time." Jack extended his hand, then realized his mistake and quickly performed the council greeting. A slight bow with open palms forward. "Thank you for accepting our petition to join the galactic community." A ripple of what sounded like laughter moved through the gathered aliens. Jack felt his face grow warm, but maintained his diplomatic smile. "You have finally figured out basic space travel," Zelthorax said, mandibles clicking in what seemed like amusement. "It is always a significant moment when a new species leaves their cradle." A red, insect-like being chittered something, and several aliens laughed openly. "Counselor Crix wonders if you found the journey difficult, considering your species' fragile constitution," Zelthorax translated, not bothering to hide his own amusement. Lisa stepped forward. "We managed quite well. Thank you. Humans are adaptable." "Indeed, you soft skins have survived despite your numerous biological disadvantages," said another alien, this one resembling a floating jellyfish. "No natural armor, minimal sensory capabilities, and such delicate respiratory systems. Fascinating that you've made it this far." Jack cleared his throat. "We compensate in other ways." Yes, your tool-making. Very clever for such a young species," Zelthorax said dismissively. "Now let us show you to your embassy quarters. We've placed you in Sector 17, where we house most developing species." As they followed the council speaker through the station, Jack and his team couldn't help but notice the advanced technology surrounding them. Hovering platforms moved effortlessly through the air. Beams teleported from one area to another, and what looked like solid walls rippled like water as aliens passed through them. "Your spacecraft is charming," said a purple-skinned humanoid who introduced herself as Ambassador Lore. "Such visible propulsion systems and manual controls. It reminds me of my ancestors' first ventures to our neighboring moons." Lisa leaned close to Jack. "They're patronizing us," she whispered. "I know," Jack whispered back, "but we need this alliance. Earth needs the trade routes and technology exchange. Play along for now." Their quarters were small and clearly designed as an afterthought. The beds were too short. The atmospheric controls were set for higher oxygen levels than Earth's, and the food synthesizer only produced bland, cube-shaped nutrients. "Is there a problem with your accommodations?" Thorax asked, noticing Jack's expression. "Not at all," Jack lied smoothly. "We're grateful for the Council's hospitality." As the alien officials left them to settle in, Officer Diane Powell, their security specialist, finally spoke up. "They think we're jokes. Did you see how they looked at our ship? Like it was a child's toy. Jack unpacked his small bag. Let them laugh. We didn't come all this way to win a popularity contest. We're here to learn, to establish relations, and to show that humanity belongs among the stars, even if they treat us like children. Asked Sam Rodriguez, the engineer. For now, Jack said firmly. For now. 3 months had passed since the human delegation arrived at Proxima Station. Jack and his team had settled into a routine of attending council meetings, taking notes, and trying to make allies among the alien representatives. Progress was slow. Most species still viewed humans as primitive newcomers, barely worth serious diplomatic attention. Lisa had managed to establish a working relationship with a few scientists from the Melmori species, 6-limbed beings with translucent skin who valued knowledge above all else. Sam had impressed some of the station's engineers with his practical solutions to maintenance problems. But overall, humans remained at the bottom of the social hierarchy. Jack sat in his too small chair at the back of the council chamber, listening to debates about trade routes and military boundaries that rarely involved Earth. Diane stood guard behind him, alert as always despite the tedium. Suddenly, a blaring alarm cut through the chamber. The sound was painful to human ears, but seemed even worse for some alien species who clutched their sensory organs in distress. Warning: solar radiation anomaly detected. Shield failure imminent in outer sectors, announced a calm, automated voice in multiple languages. The council erupted in chaos. Representatives rushed toward exits, some trampling smaller species in their panic. Security forces tried to maintain order, but fear had taken hold. Zelforax's voice boomed over the commotion. Remain calm. Our shields are designed to withstand normal solar activity. As if in direct challenge to his words, the lights flickered and the station shuddered. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing Proxima Station's ring-like structure. Several sections of the outer rings were flashing red. Report, commanded Zelforax to a trembling technician. An unexpected solar flare, speaker, 4 times larger than anything we've recorded from this star. The outer shield generators are failing. Sectors 31 through 47 are experiencing radiation surges and atmospheric instability. Lisa moved beside Jack. Those are residential sectors, she whispered. There must be thousands of beings living there. The technician continued, voice shaking. We've issued evacuation orders, but reports indicate many are trapped by emergency bulkheads. Life support is failing in multiple sections. Dispatch emergency response teams immediately, ordered Zelforax. Jack watched the situation unfold, noting how quickly the Council's air of superiority had vanished in the face of crisis. He approached Zelforax, who was surrounded by advisors all talking at once. Speaker, we'd like to offer our assistance, Jack said firmly. Zelforax barely glanced at him. This is not a diplomatic matter, Commander Miller. Our emergency teams are well equipped for station emergencies. A new alarm sounded, and a holographic display showed more red sections spreading through the station. Radiation levels in affected sectors have increased by 300%, reported another technician. Our response teams can't safely enter without specialized protection. A tall, gray-skinned alien pushed forward. My people have the most advanced personal shields in the galaxy. We will lead the rescue efforts. Jack stepped back to where his team had gathered. This is bad, he said quietly. I've seen that kind of cascade failure in simulation exercises. If they don't stabilize those outer sectors, the whole station could be at risk. Lisa nodded. They're underestimating the radiation threat. Look. On a secondary display, they could see alien rescue teams in sleek, form-fitting suits entering the damaged sections. Within minutes, emergency signals flashed, and the teams began retreating, several members clearly injured. Their protection isn't sufficient, Sam observed. They have great technology, but they've never needed to design for extreme conditions. Most Council species evolved on stable worlds with protective atmospheres. Jack watched as more rescue attempts failed. The panic in the chamber grew as casualty reports began coming in. Children were among those trapped in the damaged sections. "Speaker," Jack called out, louder this time. "I believe we can help." Zelforax turned to him with a dismissive wave. "What could your primitive species possibly contribute in this crisis?" Lisa stepped forward. "We brought our EVA suits. They're designed for the vacuum of space and extreme radiation environments." For the first time since they'd arrived, Jack saw uncertainty in Zelforax's 6 eyes. The alien looked from the failing rescue teams on the display to the humans and back. "Very well," he said reluctantly. "Show us these suits." Jack led Zelforax and a group of curious alien officials to the human quarters. As they walked, more alarms sounded, and station announcements reported worsening conditions in the outer sectors. "Time is running out," Zelforax said, his earlier condescension replaced by urgency. "I hope these suits of yours are more impressive than your spacecraft." Jack didn't respond to the jab. Instead, he opened the door to their storage room, where 4 bulky white EVA suits hung on special frames. To human eyes, they were impressive examples of NASA's finest technology. To the aliens, they looked primitive and unwieldy. "These are what you offer?" scoffed a tall Praxian engineer. "They look like industrial waste containers with limbs." Sam stepped forward. "These suits are designed to protect humans in the absolute vacuum of space. They can withstand extreme radiation, temperature fluctuations from -250 to +250 degrees Fahrenheit, and micrometeorite impacts at orbital velocities." Lisa added, "They're completely self-contained life support systems with power for up to 10 hours of high activity. Each suit has multiple redundant systems and can be repaired in the field if damaged." The aliens exchanged skeptical glances, a floating jellyfish-like being drifted closer to inspect one of the suits. "Such bulk. So inefficient," it commented. "Our protection systems are streamlined to the body." "And your protection systems are failing right now," Diane pointed out bluntly. "Sometimes efficient isn't effective." Zelforax's mandibles clicked in agitation. "We have no time for debates. If you believe these contraptions can help, then prove it." "We'll need to know exactly what conditions we're facing," Jack said. "Can you show us a current status report of the affected areas?" The alien leader gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing detailed readings from the damaged sectors. Sam whistled quietly. "That's serious radiation, and near-vacuum conditions in some sections. The temperature is all over the place," he noted, "but nothing our suits can't handle." Jack turned to his team. "I need volunteers. This is beyond our diplomatic mission parameters, and I won't order anyone to go." "I'm in," said Lisa immediately. "Me too," added Sam. "Someone has to keep you all alive," Diane said with a half-smile. Jack nodded, feeling the surge of pride in his crew. "We'll suit up immediately." As they began the careful process of donning their EVA suits, alien observers crowded around, watching with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. The humans methodically went through their checklist, helping each other into the bulky suits, checking seals and systems. "Such primitive manual connections," muttered one alien to another. "No neural interfaces or automatic deployment." Sam grinned as he secured his helmet. "Sometimes buttons and zippers are more reliable than thought commands, especially in high-radiation environments that might interfere with signals." Once fully suited, the 4 humans stood before the alien delegation. Their white suits made them look bulkier, with large life support packs on their backs and thick gloves on their hands. The helmets had gold-tinted visors that reflected the light. "You look ridiculous," said one small green alien that Jack couldn't identify. "We'll see who's laughing when we bring back survivors," Jack replied, his voice slightly mechanical through the suit's communication system. Thorax led them to a transport that would take them to the edge of the danger zone. As they walked, Jack noticed many aliens staring at them. Some still showed amusement, but others seemed curious, perhaps even hopeful. The worst affected area is Sector 37, Zelthorax explained. A school for juvenile malnourished is located there. Other rescue teams have been driven back by the radiation levels. Children, Lisa said, determination in her voice. We'll get them out. Don't make promises you can't keep, human, warned Zelthorax. The conditions there would kill most species within minutes, even with protection. Jack checked his suit's readings one last time. Good thing we're not most species. The transport arrived at a sealed emergency bulkhead. Beyond it lay the damaged sectors of the station, with their deadly combination of radiation, vacuum, and unstable temperature. Warning signs flashed in multiple alien languages. Last chance to reconsider, Zelthorax said. No one would blame you for turning back. Jack looked at his team, receiving confirming nods from each. Open the door, speaker. We have work to do. The airlock hissed as it cycled open. Jack led his team into the damaged section of Proxima Station, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. Emergency lighting flickered weakly, casting strange shadows across the twisted metal of the corridor. Comms check, Jack said, his voice clear in their helmet speakers. Copy, came 3 responses. Station control, do you read us? Jack asked. We read you, Commander Miller. Zelthorax's voice crackled through some interference. We are monitoring your progress. Sensors indicate radiation levels are still rising in your location. Sam checked the readings on his suit's wrist display. Radiation at 350 rems and climbing. Atmosphere at 15% normal pressure. Temperature fluctuating between -20 and +40 degrees Celsius. Our suits are handling it fine, Lisa reported. All systems green. Through their helmet cameras, the council members watched in astonishment as the humans moved confidently through conditions that had forced their own rescue teams to retreat. The school should be 2 junctions ahead, Diane said, checking the station map displayed inside her helmet. They moved forward, stepping carefully over debris and damaged equipment. A sudden hissing sound made them pause. Micrometeorite puncture in the hull, Sam observed, pointing to a small hole in the wall where station atmosphere was escaping into space. That's a 3-centimeter breach, Jack noted. Must have been a big one. A voice broke in over their comms. You should retreat immediately, said an alien official whose name Jack couldn't recall. That section will decompress completely within minutes. Our suits are designed for vacuum, Jack replied calmly. We'll continue. They reached a sealed door marked with malnourished symbols. Lissa connected her suit's external computer to the door's emergency panel. I can override the lockdown, she said, fingers working despite the bulky gloves. Sam, get ready to help with the manual crank if the power's completely gone. The door slid open halfway, then jammed. Sam gripped the edge and pushed, the suit's enhanced strength systems whirring as they amplified his effort. The door grudgingly moved further open. Inside, they found a classroom of young malnourished. About 20 small, 6-limbed beings huddled together, their translucent skin tinged blue from cold and oxygen deprivation. They wore simple emergency masks, but these were clearly insufficient for the deteriorating conditions. We found them, Jack reported to station control. Approximately 20 juvenile malnourished, alive but in distress. Lisa knelt beside the closest child, her medical scanner checking vital signs. They're suffering from oxygen deprivation and radiation exposure. We need to get them out quickly. One brave young malnourished approached Jack, eyes wide with fear and curiosity. It made a series of clicking sounds that Jack's translator rendered as, "Are you aliens too? Why do you look so strange?" "We're humans," Jack said gently. "We've come to help." Diane moved to the far side of the room, checking for additional students or staff. "Jack, we have a problem. The exit corridor on this side has completely decompressed. There's a breach the size of a dinner plate." Jack assessed their options. "We'll have to take them back the way we came. But some of these kids look too weak to walk. And their emergency masks won't last much longer in this atmosphere," Sam added. Lisa thought for a moment, then began adjusting settings on her suit. Our suits have auxiliary oxygen connections for emergency scenarios. We can share our supply. She demonstrated by connecting a small tube from her suit to the mask of the weakest-looking Melnori child. Immediately, the child's coloring improved. Each suit can support 2 children in addition to ourselves for about 30 minutes, she explained. That should be enough time to get them to safety. The team quickly organized the children, connecting the weakest to their suits' oxygen supplies and preparing the others to follow closely. Jack lifted 2 small Melnori who couldn't walk, cradling them carefully in his arms. "Station control, we're moving out with the children," he reported. "Have medical teams standing by." Through the helmet cameras, the watching council members saw the humans carefully shepherding the alien children through dangerous conditions. They observed how the suit's systems maintained stable internal environments despite the chaos outside. "Remarkable," murmured an alien scientist. "Their primitive-looking technology is surprisingly effective." "Perhaps," Zelforax replied thoughtfully. "We have been too quick to judge human ingenuity." The journey back through the damaged sectors was slow but steady. Jack and his team carefully guided the Melnori children, keeping them close as they navigated around debris and unstable areas. When they finally reached the safe zone, medical teams rushed forward to take the children. "You did it," said a Melnori scientist, her voice filled with emotion. "We thought they were lost." Jack removed his helmet, sweat plastering his hair to his forehead, just doing what needed to be done. The rescued children were quickly taken to medical facilities, while Jack and his team were escorted to a decontamination area. As they began the process of removing their suits, they noticed a group of alien engineers watching them with undisguised interest. "May we examine your protection gear?" asked a tall, angular being with metallic skin. "I am Chief Engineer Xorlak of the Praxians." Sam looked to Jack, who nodded approval. "Sure, but we need to perform post-mission maintenance first." The aliens observed as the humans methodically checked each suit for damage, tested systems, and replaced power cells. What had seemed like primitive activity to the aliens now appeared as practical thoroughness. "Your suits withstood radiation levels that would penetrate our best shields," Xorlak said, running a scanner over Jack's helmet. "How is this possible?" Lisa stepped in, now changed into a fresh uniform. "Our suits use multiple protection layers. The outer shell deflects particles, while inner layers absorb what gets through. We call it defense in depth." "And these materials?" another engineer marveled, examining a suit glove. "Nothing special by our standards, yet the combination proves remarkably effective." "Earth is a challenging environment," Lisa explained. "We evolved on a planet with shifting weather, natural radiation, and countless environmental hazards. Our technology reflects that reality." Zelforax entered the room, his earlier disdain replaced by something resembling respect. "The Melnori children will recover fully. Your actions saved 23 lives today." "Happy to help," Jack said simply. "But there are still people trapped in other sectors, aren't there?" "Yes," Zelforax confirmed. "The situation has grown worse. The station's core systems are becoming unstable." Sam studied a station schematic displayed on a nearby screen. "The main control hub for environmental systems is in Sector 42. If someone could reach it, they might stabilize the whole station." "Impossible," stated a Vexeri engineer firmly. "Sector 42 is directly exposed to space now. Radiation levels there are lethal. No biological entity could survive crossing it, even with protection." Lisa stepped closer to the schematic. "What about these maintenance tunnels? They seem to provide an alternate route." "Those tunnels have minimal shielding," the engineer replied. "The conditions would be nearly as bad as direct exposure." Jack exchanged looks with his team. They were tired from the first rescue, but there was determination in their eyes. "We believe our suits can handle it," Jack said. A murmur ran through the gathered aliens. One stepped forward, a being made of what looked like living crystal. "You would risk yourselves again, for beings not of your world." That's what humans do, Diane said simply. Zell, Thorax studied them with all 6 eyes. Your confidence borders on foolishness, yet you have proven yourselves once already. He turned to his staff. Prepare all available data on the maintenance tunnels and control systems. If the humans believe they can help, we should give them every advantage. As the aliens hurried to gather information, a Melnori approached Jack. I did not understand before, she said quietly. We thought your species backward because your technology looks simple. Now I see that simplicity hides great strength. We had to make things that work, Sam explained, patting his suit. On Earth, if something fails in a harsh environment, people die. So we build redundant systems, manual overrides, and field repairable components. Our technology evolved to be elegant and advanced, the Melnori said thoughtfully. Yours evolved to survive. Jack watched as alien engineers crowded around their suits, taking scans and making notes. Some were already discussing how to adapt human design principles to their own protection systems. I think, Lisa said with a smile, we finally found something valuable to contribute to the Galactic Council. Yes, Zelthorax agreed, overhearing her. Perhaps there is more to learn from Earth than we realized. After a brief rest and suit recharge, Jack and his team gathered around a holographic display of the station's maintenance tunnels. The path to the core environmental controls looked like a maze, with several areas marked in flashing red to indicate dangerous conditions. This section here has complete vacuum, Sam pointed out. And this junction shows extreme temperature variations. The worst part is here, Lisa added, indicating a long stretch near the core. Direct exposure to space through multiple hull breaches. Radiation levels are off the charts. Alien engineers and officials stood nearby, their expressions ranging from concern to outright fear. It's a suicide mission, one whispered loudly enough for Jack to hear. We've faced worse, Jack replied, though in truth, he wasn't entirely sure they had. Are the suits ready, Sam? As ready as they'll get, Sam confirmed. I boosted the radiation shields and topped off all systems, but I can't promise they'll hold through that final stretch. Zelthorax approached, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. We cannot ask this of you. These are not your people, not your station. No one's asking, Diane said firmly. We're offering. Jack studied the map again. 4 of us increases the chances of success, but also increases the risk. I think this mission needs a smaller team. I'm going, Sam said immediately. If anyone can get those systems working again, it's me. And I'm the security specialist, Diane added. I've got the best combat and survival training. Lisa, I need you to stay here, Jack decided. Work with the medical teams on the radiation exposure cases. You can do more good here than out there. Lisa nodded reluctantly. Be careful. The suits are good, but they have limits. The team did one final check of their equipment. Sam and Diane put their helmets on while Jack took a moment to address the gathered aliens. If we don't make it back, remember what these suits could do. Maybe they'll help your species improve your own protection systems. We will remember, Zelthorax promised. Jack sealed his helmet, and the 3 humans entered the airlock that would take them into the maintenance tunnels. As the pressure equalized, Jack's suit sensors immediately began warning of the harsh conditions outside. Stay close, he instructed. Follow my path exactly. They moved through the narrow tunnels in single file. The first section was relatively stable, with only moderate radiation and partial atmosphere. But as they progressed deeper into the damaged areas, conditions worsened rapidly. Temperature dropping, Sam reported, down to -100 Celsius. Their suit heating systems worked overtime, burning through power reserves faster than expected. The tunnel walls were covered in frost that sparkled in their helmet lights. A sudden bang shook the tunnel, and a piece of ceiling collapsed ahead of them. Careful, Jack warned. Structure is unstable. They climbed over the debris and continued. The next section had almost no gravity, forcing them to pull themselves along using handholds on the walls. Their bulky suits made this difficult, but the enhanced strength systems helped. Radiation levels rising, Diane noted. Suit shields holding at 70% capacity. They reached a junction where 3 tunnels converged. According to the map, they needed to take the center path, but it was blocked by twisted metal. "I can clear it," Sam said, moving forward. He braced himself and began pulling at the debris. Suddenly, a sharp piece of metal punctured his suit's outer layer at the shoulder. "Sam." Jack moved quickly to his side. "I'm hit," Sam confirmed, his voice steady despite the danger. Suit integrity compromised. In any other protection system, this would mean certain death. But Sam calmly reached into a compartment on his belt and pulled out a patch kit. With practiced movements, he sealed the breach. "Self-repair complete," he reported after a moment. "Outer layer sealed. Inner layers undamaged. I'm good to continue." The watching aliens in the control room murmured in amazement. Their own suits would have failed completely from such damage. That's impossible," an alien engineer exclaimed. "How can they repair protection systems in those conditions?" "Because they designed them to be repaired," Lisa explained. "Every component can be fixed or bypassed in the field." The team pushed forward, now entering the most dangerous section of their journey. Through small breaches in the tunnel walls, they could see open space. Stars shone coldly, beautiful and deadly. "We're approaching the core access," Jack announced. "Radiation at maximum tolerable levels. Suit power at 40%. A final door stood between them and the environmental control hub. It was sealed tight, designed to protect the critical systems within. "Sam, can you override it?" Jack asked. "Got it," Sam exclaimed as the door's locking mechanism finally released. The heavy door slid open halfway, then stopped. "Power failure," Sam explained. "We'll have to push it the rest of the way." Jack and Diane positioned themselves on either side of the door and pushed. Their suits' strength enhancement systems whirred loudly as they forced the door open wide enough to enter. Inside, the environmental control hub was dark except for a few emergency lights. Displays flickered with error messages, and sparks shot from damaged panels. "This is worse than I expected," Sam said, moving quickly to the main console. "The primary systems are completely offline. We need to reroute through the backup circuits." Jack checked his suit readings. Radiation still climbing. Suit integrity at 65% and dropping. "We have maybe 7 minutes before we need to evacuate." Sam worked frantically, his gloved fingers moving across the controls with practiced precision. "I need more time. These systems are complex." "I'll see if I can boost our suit shielding," Diane offered, moving to a side panel. "Maybe I can link our suits to the station's remaining power." Through their helmet cameras, the council members watched in tense silence. No one spoke or joked now. They simply observed as the humans battled against time and deadly conditions. "Sam, status update," Jack demanded after several long minutes. "Almost there," Sam replied, his voice strained. "I've managed to reconnect the life support systems. Now I just need to stabilize the radiation shields." "Hurry," Diane urged. "Suit power down to 25%. Radiation protection failing." Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the station. A ceiling panel broke loose, falling toward Sam. Jack lunged forward, pushing Sam aside and taking the impact on his back. The force knocked him to the floor. "Jack." Diane rushed to help him up. "I'm okay," Jack said, though his suit alarm was beeping. "Outer layer damage. Inner layers holding." Sam turned back to the console, working even faster. "Almost. Got it." The lights in the room suddenly came on. Displays changed from red to yellow to green as systems came back online. "Environmental controls restored," Sam announced proudly. "The station's main shields are reactivating. Radiation levels should start dropping soon." "Not soon enough for us," Diane observed. "Our suits are critically compromised. We need to get out now." They made their way back to the door, but another tremor hit, stronger than the first. Part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking their exit. "We're trapped," Jack realized, his heart sinking. Back in the control room, the aliens watched in horror. "Can't you teleport them out?" Lissa demanded. "Teleportation systems are offline in that sector," a technician replied helplessly. "Then send another rescue team," she insisted. "No one can reach them in time," Zelthorax said grimly. The radiation would kill any rescue team before they got halfway there. Inside the control hub, the humans assessed their situation. "Suits at 15% power," Diane reported. 10 minutes at most before complete failure. Sam studied the room. "There's another way out. Look." He pointed to a maintenance shaft in the floor. "According to the station schematics, this leads to an emergency escape pod bay." "Worth a shot," Jack decided. They pulled open the hatch and descended one by one into the narrow shaft. The journey through the dark, cramped tunnel tested the limits of both their suits and their courage. They crawled on hands and knees, guided only by helmet lights and Sam's memory of the station layout. "Suit power at 5%, Diane warned just as they reached another hatch. Sam pushed it open, revealing a small bay with a single escape pod. "It looks functional," he said with relief as they climbed inside. Jack activated the pod's systems, launching in 3, 2, 1. The pod shot away from the station, its small engines pushing them to safety. Through the viewport, they watched as Proxima Station's shields fully reactivated, the blue energy field expanding to protect the entire structure. When they docked at the main hangar 20 minutes later, they were met by a crowd of aliens from every species on the station. No one was laughing now. Instead, there was a hushed silence as the humans emerged from the pod, removing their damaged helmets. Zelthorax stepped forward. "The Council has convened an emergency session," he announced formally. "Your actions have saved this station and thousands of lives. We owe you a debt that cannot be repaid." "You can repay it," Jack said, standing tall despite his exhaustion. "By remembering that advance doesn't always mean better. Sometimes, the simplest solutions are the strongest."